beautiful friends. Today I want to do a little get ready with me, and I also want to show you my outfit and some of the things that I packed for an Oktoberfest celebration. This is a big annual Oktoberfest celebration that happens every year here in North Carolina, and the weather can be very unpredictable in North Carolina in the fall. So I had to be very strategic about what I wore on my face and my outfit and what I packed and all of that. Starting first with a little bit of skin prep, I wore some of my favorite Laneige Lip Glowy Balm and the Inky List Dewy Sunscreen. This day started out quite hot and sunny, and then into the afternoon it quickly got cool and cloudy. So you need to be on your toes here for outdoor events any time of year. But if I'm going to be outdoors any time of year, it doesn't matter the season, I always make sure that I'm wearing sunscreen under my makeup. Here I'm applying the Ulta Complexion Crush Foundation. I am going to list all the shades down in the description box for you just in case you're curious which shades I use. I love this for all day events, especially if I know I'm going to be in lots of different types of weather. I know I'm going to be taking photos. This lasts really well on me. It's not so dewy that I'm going to sweat it off, but it's also not so matte to where I feel dry and cakey and uncomfortable. It's just the perfect balance. This is my go-to for events. And instead of doing concealer on top, I actually went with the M Cosmetics Daydream Cushion Foundation just to add a little tiny bit more coverage. Like I said, I didn't want to feel super caked up and super layered. I wanted to feel really fresh and comfortable. So I used this super sheer lightweight foundation for just a little bit more coverage on top of the Complexion Crush. I know that might sound a little bit crazy, but it ended up looking really, really good. Then I used a little bit of the Too Faced Born This Way pressed powder just to set a little bit. I didn't pile this on too much. I just did a light little tap over the skin before I started layering on some of my color products. This just really locked in all of those cream products underneath. And I'm going to do another cream blush later, but it's such light, soft layers that it actually ends up working out just fine. You'll see. Trust me on this one. I know it seems a little unorthodox, but it definitely works for me. I set some areas with the Hourglass diffused light powder, just a couple of spots on my face that I wanted to make sure didn't budge at all. Then I filled in just lightly on my brows with the ColourPop brow pencil. I'm not changing the shape of my natural brow, just filling in some spots where my brow hairs are more sparse. Then I combed everything into place before applying some of the NYX The Brow Glue. I love this for an all-day wear, especially if I'm going to be outside, because this really locks in my kind of crazy, scraggly brow hairs. So I apply that, and then I go back in with my little brow brush. It's like a slanted spoolie. I love this for just making sure all the brow hairs go in place where I want them to be. Then I added a little bit of bronzer. Typically, I'm not big on bronzer, but ever since I got this Hourglass palette, I've just been loving the way that this adds a little bit of warmth and a little bit of depth to my face without feeling too overboard and too warm and orangey on my fair skin. So I did just a light touch of that lunar bronze shade around some of the little contour spots, and then I used the Persona Dreamstick cream blush in the shade Teddy, and I put this farther back on my cheeks, right overlapping where I put that bronzer, to just give an overall really fresh and flushed look without adding too much color towards the center of my face. Blended that out with a duo fiber brush, and then I went in with a combo of the Rose Fusion blush and a little touch of the Opal Strobe Light powder highlighter from that Hourglass palette, and just tapped on top to sort of lock in that cream blush. And that really helps to blend and diffuse the blush color into the face, so it all looks like a really natural flush. And because I love to be glowy and casually sweaty, I went in with just a little bit more of that Opal Strobe Light highlighter to hit the tops of the cheekbones for a little of that fresh, glowy look on the skin. After I have all of my face color down, I add just a little bit of the ColourPop Pretty Fresh setting mist, and once that's almost completely dry, I go back in with my setting powder and just touch a couple of those places where I really want to make sure everything stays secure, but I didn't want to go back over my blush and highlighter. I wanted that to stay more glowy looking. I went with a glossy lip stain for my lip color because I knew I was going to be having lots of snacks, some big German food meals, having a couple of steins of beer, so I wanted to go with a lip stain that I wouldn't have to constantly worry about touching up and smudging. For my eye look, I'm using my Flora Story palette that I created in collaboration with ODEN'S. Just primed my eyes with a little bit of that Ulta Beauty matte eye primer, and then I used my favorite ever transition shade. This is Shroom, of course, from the Flora Story palette. I put that into the crease area of my lids and then blended upwards towards the brow bone so that color would peek out just a little bit. And then I also added that on the lower lash line to get a little bit of a smudgy neutral look on the lower lashes. I want to keep this really light and fresh and fun. My dirndl that I'm wearing, the dress, has blue and purple flowers with a bunch of green leaves and vines. So I'm going for a fresh green look to sort of tie into my outfit and my earrings that I'm going to be wearing. So I built up a little bit of this dark green sage color on the outer part of my lids to give a little depth and dimension to the outer part of the eye, but I'm not building that up too high into the crease. Then I just blended everything together with a little bit more of that shroom shade. Now it's time to add some shimmer. Always my favorite part of any eye look. I'm using this really light fresh green shade called Best Buds, and I'm applying that to the inner, probably 2/3, at least half of the lid to cover up the open lid space where I didn't apply any shadow yet. And then as I build that out, I'm sort of tapering off towards that darker green matte shade called Sage. Then I'm using Misty, which is one of my favorite shades in the palette, and I'm blending over where Best Buds and Sage meet to give a really smooth transition and to add a little bit more of a dynamic shift to the green metallic pop on the lids. I wanted to keep the look really light and fresh. I didn't want it to feel too heavy and too evening. So I took a little tiny detail brush and I put a little bit of Best Buds on the lower part of my lid, just below that inner corner area to give a little pop of that green. Then I went back in with the original blending shade, my favorite neutral matte shade called Shroom, and I just added a little bit more depth and made sure that all the parts of the look were connected and blended together. Then my final touch to this look is going back in with that dark green matte on a pencil brush and doing a little smudge along the outer part of the upper lash line, just to add a little depth there. Not even really like a faux liner, but just darkening up that spot to prep for my mascara application. Curled my lashes, added the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Mascara, and that's it for my makeup look. I love the way this turned out. It was super quick and easy, and even though it feels really fresh and dewy, it lasted through the entire event. By the time we got home that night, my makeup still looked really good. Everything was still intact. Obviously, I had to touch up my lip color a few times throughout all the eating and drinking and merrymaking, but I didn't even have to reapply my powder. Even my blush and everything was still in really, really good shape by the end. I did get lucky because the beginning of the festival, it was pretty hot and sunny, but it was quite comfortable in the shade the whole time. And even once it cooled off, I brought a little wrap with me and I was plenty comfortable in that. So I think we got the perfect weather for such an event. It didn't rain. It didn't even get windy. It was just really, really pleasant outside. And I mean, I had a cute dress on and I had pastries and pretzels and beer. So what's not to love? Let me tell you a little bit about my outfit now. I ordered this dirndl from Amazon and I did have to make some alterations to it, which I'll show you a little bit more of how I customized this for myself. But this is basically what I wore. I also wore just like sheer skin colored tights for my own personal comfort. And I was a little bit warm at first, but I ended up being the perfect temperature, and I am the coldest blooded person ever. So I feel like we really nailed it with this. We also were only allowed to bring a clear bag of a certain size. There were quite a few rules about what you could and couldn't bring into the event space. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what I put in my bag as well, just in case you are also planning to go to an event. There are a lot of restrictions, but I feel like we had everything we needed, and I have some good tips and tricks for you for at least what my family uses. But first, let me tell you a little bit about how I customized my dress and my apron. So I had to take in the bust area. It was just made for somebody with a bigger chest than me. So I put some darts on the front in the bust area, and I also had to cut and shorten the actual shoulder strap area. But I knew that I wanted to add a little bit of embellishment and make it just a little bit more exciting, a little bit more my own, and customize it. So I got this floral lace trim, and it worked out perfectly because I ended up covering over the areas where I had to alter the top, where I had to add those darts and shorten the strap. So I put that floral lace across the top of the shirt underneath. They are separate pieces, and across the bottom of the apron. That's also a third piece to this outfit. And then I used that same lace detailing down the sides of the top, and that was able to completely cover up where I had altered the dress. So it all just looked natural and all like it was supposed to be there. And it was just a fun, cute little detail. I like customizing my outfits and feeling like I have something special and unique. Then for the bag, we had this 12-inch clear tote with a zipper top. We were not allowed to bring in blankets or anything like that, but I did find this family pack of ponchos. So it has adult and kid size ponchos that I just keep on hand. We go to a lot of outdoor events, festivals, baseball games, that type of stuff. So I always throw those in the bottom of my clear tote for any events. And then I was able to pack this big scarf. It's more like a wrap. It is very blanket like, but it definitely is not a blanket. It's a scarf. Okay, security, just so you know. And I ended up wearing it as a wrap. It looked really cute with my outfit without having to bring a whole jacket inside. And then we were also able to bring an empty clear water bottle, and they had water refill stations, which is awesome. I wish every event would have this. Like I said, it started off pretty warm and very sunny at the start, so it was nice to be able to stay hydrated. And then, of course, I always pack my sunscreen to make sure that we're all staying touched up. Then I also like to keep deodorant wipes and antibacterial wipes on me wherever I go. Whenever we're out, it always seems to come in clutch. And then I bring my little touch-up bag. So I had like my powder, some extra bobby pins, a safety pin, a hair tie, some Advil, some Band-Aids. I always have that with me. It's just the mom in me. I have to be able to at least attempt to address any sort of minor emergency. And then, of course, we had our wallets and keys and stuff in there too. But there was plenty of extra space if we wanted to bring home some extra food or some souvenirs. There's plenty of space in our bag. Even if our kid wants to bring a book or bring some Pokemon cards or whatever it may be, this is just the starter pack, and then you can sort of customize based on what events you're going to and what you're permitted to bring in, what you expect the weather to be, etc. So I hope that this was fun, informative, helpful, or even if you're not interested in going to an Oktoberfest or going to events like this, then I hope you at least enjoyed hanging out here with me for a little while. I know I always enjoy it, and I always appreciate you spending a little bit of your time here watching my videos. I would love to hear what type of events you want to go to, what kind of outfit of the days you're interested in. I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!